You can find us over on YouTube. Just search my name, Doug Shane. Like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when we are going live, when we're doing new videos. We got playoff football, basketball, hockey. I'm sure we'll be doing some Major League Baseball previews at some point. Who knows what else we'll go live with? Maybe we'll live stream the FSWA awards if we get nominated. We'll live stream our reactions to getting all the awards we're going to get this year. Who knows? We've made it. Week 17. We're here. Suppose all the games are on. Everyone's healthy. But it's week 17. The inactives are going to be insane when you see Gouda and I looking down at the phones. We're not tweeting out or texting plans for dinner tonight or whatever's going on. We're going to try to figure out who's playing and who's not. As of right now, this is just a rough estimate of who's in and out. Everyone's inactive, and who the hell knows who's playing. We'll get you some more accurate information as we go. But again, if you want to find out more information from us, you want to get involved in our Slack chat, you want to get our award-winning articles, daily player pools for all the sports we cover, pro sports, college sports, niche sports, banksterdfs.com, $3.99 a week. Get you everything. Good. I'm going to go do the tweet thing right now, and I'm going to say to you, good morning, hello, happy new year again, and week 17. What's on the docket today for us, buddy?
Good morning. Glad to be here yet again. No cancellations this season. We got through it somehow.
I mean, that's almost cheating. Like, we had a Wednesday game. There was Tuesday games. We came pretty close.
We did. Waiting as the inactives are coming through. I saw the Bills inactives. Cole Beasley is out, which was expected. Tre'Davious White's officially inactive. That could help Devontae Parker a little bit. I don't trust Tua that much anyway. But if you were looking, that way on Miami, if Parker is active, maybe that's something there.
I like Gesicki today. Gesicki today can be a real big play.
He's a good option there if you're, spending in that mid-range for tight end. I just did see for the Chiefs, Hilaire and Watkins are officially inactive. We kind of knew that. There was a report today for the Chiefs that Le'Veon Bell is going to be active, but is probably not playing. He's probably just in there as the emergency back. So to me, that tells me for the playoffs, Darrell Williams has kind of gone ahead of him as the number 2 back. Which is kind of interesting, and that also opens up some value at running back. It looks like Darwin Thompson's getting the bulk of the carries today. What he's going to do with it, I don't know, but at his price point, he's in the low 4,000s. Let's see, what's his exact price? Thompson today is at 4,400. So Thompson at 4,400. That provides you another pivot if you don't want to be involved in the Malcolm Brown situation, where it's looking like Cam Akers is at least going to try to give it a go today. So if Akers is active, I don't know. Again, that's one of those things. High ankle sprain. Maybe he plays one down and he just can't go. But also too, if he feels fine enough when he's active, and then he's giving it a go. That just puts a huge dent into Malcolm Brown's value there. So I'm basically staying away from Brown today. I'm not taking that risk. Because again, as I wrote, you can go Ty Johnson. It looks like he's going to be getting the full workload for the Jets. And has, he's got some value there. And also too, I think that Darwin Thompson could have some value here as well if he is going to get the bulk of the carries. Even though the starters really aren't playing for Kansas City, the Chargers defense is not anything special. So, the backups might be able to make some noise. And, if Thompson's getting, 15 plus touches at that $4,400 price range, it's not the worst idea in a GPP. You don't want to go crazy for it. But at the same time, there could potentially be something there for that as well.
Thus far, as I'm scrolling, there's no real surprise in actives yet. LaShawn McCoy is out, so that means Leonard Fournette will be playing this week. But I still think that I'm going to trust Ronald Jones, at least if I'm playing where are they playing, the early window or the late window? They're playing in the early window, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, they're playing in the early window. I know a lot of people are splitting their slate playing early only or late only. I've got Ronald Jones as a cash play for the early only slate, so I've got him in my early only cash lineup because at some point you just have to trust Bruce Arians that he's going to get the work. There's not a ton of options in the early only slate anyway. So I think that's where I think that's okay. I'm not terribly concerned about Leonard Fournette being active. Alexander Madison looks like he'll be the starter officially now for the Vikings. Golden Tate is inactive. That'll probably upset Sean. I know he's a big Golden Tate guy. I don't know if you liked him this week though or not, but I know he's out, so that should help. Ingram, I would say probably more than anyone, but Slayton and Shepard are also fine in that respect. I'm just trying to see.
Yeah, well, so Devontae Parker is active, but
Yep.
Jakeem Grant is inactive. So that probably opens things a little bit for Gesicki, maybe Lynn Bowden again. I mean, I'm going towards Myles Gaskin. I think Gaskin's going to be a really strong play this week in a game that the Dolphins should control. And they just announced to the Bills, their offensive starters are active today. So like Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, all those guys. What they're going to do as far as their workload, who knows? Maybe it's a quarter just to stay, a little warm for the playoffs, and that's it. I don't. I mean, I'm not looking to use anybody there anyway. And I think Gaskin is going to be a strong tournament play this week because nobody's really going to be looking in that price range. I think you're going to have the ownership, on the higher price guys, Henry and Taylor. And then, you're going to have the value guys that running back that people are going to be looking at. And probably Madison also in that mid range. So Gaskin's going to go really overlooked. I think he's going to make for a strong play. And I think the other overlooked running back that people aren't talking about, and I don't really know why, is Nick Chubb. Chubb. I mean, Chubb's at that price point where people are looking at Henry and Taylor first, but I mean, not for nothing. Chubb, I would argue, has the same upside that those guys do, and this is the game flow that you look for, with Nick Chubb. They're home. Pittsburgh's playing all their backups. It's a must-win game for Cleveland, and they always rely on their running game. I mean, I don't see why people aren't taking advantage of Chubb. Getting 20 plus. He's going to get 20 plus carries in this game. I mean, I don't have faith in Mason Rudolph putting up points where it becomes a shootout. I think they want to stay away from Baker throwing it 35 plus times again. People point at last week's game and say, well, they couldn't run against the Jets. Why are they going to be able to run against the Steelers backups? Well, they were missing 2 offensive linemen last week. And we saw earlier.
And 4 wide receivers. It's not like the Jets couldn't stack the box last week.
And all their receivers, too. And we saw earlier in the year when Wyatt Teller, their starting offensive guard, was out, those were the games where the running game struggled the most. And last week we saw that again. But now they get Teller back and they get their starting tackle Wills back. And now with the healthy offensive line, again, playing against the Pittsburgh backups, I think Nick Chubb is in such a great spot and he's being overlooked. I mean, if you can get a guy sub 5% ownership that should get 20-plus touches and lead the team this week in a must-win game, I think it's a fantastic play.
I love Chubb for a GPP this week. Last week, I used him in cash, even though I argued myself out of it and into it and out of it. Like, I knew he was a terrible play. Played him anyway in cash. And, he was fine. 17 points. He ended up hitting value. Not hitting value, but at least not killing you with those 5 receptions and that late touchdown. But, we talked about it last week. If you want to, again, other reasons why Nick Chubb didn't do well against the Jets last week is because the Jets have a really good run defense. They've given up one 100-yard rusher all year. Like, Nick Chubb wasn't supposed to have a good game last week. So this week's a great bounce back spot. Pittsburgh's not playing anyone on their defense. I have Chubb, again, early only slate. I have Chubb in my cash lineup for my early only slate. And I love him for GPP. I tried to fit him into a lot of full slate GPPs because of that 5% ownership. He's just, no one's going to have Chubb today. And because they see Pittsburgh and like, oh, bad matchup, but it's not, because it's not Pittsburgh. It's the Pittsburgh B team or C team or whatever D team. Like, it's not the best players, and they really don't care. Pittsburgh truly doesn't care about this game, and Cleveland does. And I agree that they're not going to want to put this game in Baker Mayfield's hands. Not that he can't have a good game. I think the Cleveland passing offense is fine for a tournament, but I mean, Chubb in a tournament's great. There's not a ton of options in the early only slate anyway, especially if you're looking for, again, cash game running backs. You've got Chubb, you've got Ty Johnson, you've got J.K. Dobbins, you've got Ronald Jones, you've got Zeke. Zeke was brought in our Slack chat, and I think Zeke's going way overlooked this week. I don't love him. Big Matt had asked about Zeke. Is Zeke a cash play for me? Not on the full slate, but on the early only slate, I think he's definitely cash viable. He got a ton of work last week. Dallas needs to win this football game, and I think they do win this football game. It's the conditions are not wonderful in New York right now. There's some snow. So I don't see why Zeke can't get 20 touches this week. So again, early only cash for sure, tournament play for sure. But that early only cash pool for running backs is just not great. Like I don't trust Madison. He kind of screwed us last time. DeAndre Swift is in play, but like the big boys, the two biggest boys at running back are Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry, and they're both playing in the late slate. So if you're playing early only, I mean, Chubb goes from full slate tournament play to short slate. A short slate cash game play. I think that's there. Big Matt is in chat as well. He wants to thank us. I want to make sure you see that there, Gouda. He wants to thank us for the whole community for an awesome NFL season. You're welcome. And thank you for being with us, Matt. You've been with us for a number of years. And, he said he's learned a ton, which is great with a lot of success. I remember Matt's first weekend with us. He was on a free preview. It's 2-3 years ago now. And I guess it was 2.5 years ago. And I remember watching that weekend. I think it was a hockey weekend too. And I don't even remember. It might have been Blackhawks or something. Like he stacked one team, and we gave him a couple of low-end plays when I was doing the Fanball Radio with with Brian and Matt and Scott. And he I remember just over the weekend he's making like a few $100s or something like that. I don't want to blow up Matt's spot too much, but he had a really huge weekend. He's like, yeah, I think I'm signing up. And then Matt's become one of the more active members. So thank you, Matt. Thank you for being part of the team and showing that what we do I think works. I think Matt's a great example of kind of take our advice. We are team teach a man to fish, not team give a man a fish. Like we're not lineup sellers, though we'll put lineups on here just for giggles, but we're not lineup sellers. We're trying to teach you how to play fantasy sports. And I think, Matt's a great example of what we do here at Bankster. And, don't want to turn this into an extended promo, but really it's what we do, right? Like we're trying to teach you how to play. Matt is confirming that, yes, it was an NHL slate that we gave him. Yes, NHL for all the money. I remember I feel like he took down a tournament or something, $300 or something like that. It's a pretty cool weekend. All I remember is back then he had his Bruins avatar back in the day. But good stuff. Thanks, Matt. But yeah, this is what we do. BanksterDFS.com, $3.99 a week, worth every penny. I'll tell you that for sure. We give you a lot of stuff for $4 a week, and we teach you how to play. That's what we like to do. We want you to learn how to play. Like our pools are there, our advice is there. We can give you lineups, but make your own and learn from it. It's way more successful doing it that way. That's why we talk about plays, but we're not telling you who you have to play. We give you a pool and you learn strategy and we kind of roll from it. And that's why we're talking about the pool right now to segue back into what we're doing. Again, one of the things I just came off talking about was Nick Chubb in the early only cash pool, but you notice this is our full cash pool. I don't have him there because I think at that price point, you're going to want to use Jonathan Taylor in the full slate and Derrick Henry. And I don't think we can afford Henry, Taylor, and Chubb in a full slate. Plus, I do think there's, enough Kareem Hunt risk and enough not receiving game work risk to not put him in the full slate, especially if we're going to spend down on someone like Melvin Gordon or Ty Johnson, who I'm really starting to warm up to, by the way. I'm really warming up to Ty Johnson. I do have him. He's the third in my trifecta of early cash game running backs. He's definitely one of those guys that's there at that value point, especially he's cheap on Yahoo also where I like to play. He's good value. And we've seen what he does with the full workload. He's a dynamic running back. We've seen it in the past as well. We like Ty Johnson this week. And so, all right, I digress. Enough about that. Any other news come in while I was rambling? Did we see any surprise inactives or anything? I mean, half the slate is nothing. Hours.
Nothing yet. I mean, a lot of some of the more important games are the 4:00 games also, so we'll probably get some stuff at that time. I do know. I mean, on the later slate, it's interesting how the Cardinals lineup is going to be shaping up this week because Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald are both out now.
Is Larry Fitzgerald officially out? Because I heard he was going to try to play.
Oh, I had seen a report that he was going to be out.
Okay.
So if in fact he is, I mean that I don't know what it does for their receiving core. I mean mean, maybe it boosts up DeAndre Hopkins, but he's going against Jalen Ramsey, so I don't know what that's ultimately going to do to him. But if there's no one else to pass to and he gets 15 targets, I mean, that's pretty damn good value.
Kind of like Keyshawn Johnson. I like Keyshawn Johnson this game. They've been looking for him. His target share has been pretty decent the last 4 weeks. And Kyler Murray seems to like him at only $3,000. I considered putting him in the cash game, honestly. If Fitzgerald is out, I think Keyshawn makes a much better play than like an Andy Isabella type. And I do agree that Hopkins could be shut down. Hopkins, if I'm not mistaken, if you go back into the data, I'm pretty sure Hopkins dominates Ramsey.
He's had success against him, yeah.
Yeah. But I still think they've got to win this game. So I do think there's going to be some love for other receivers. And I think Keyshawn's that guy. Okay, yeah, last game he went 8 for 52 and a touch. Not a bad game.
Yeah, and also I think it could open things in the passing game for Dan Arnold. I know they've been working him in a little more lately. And again, at tight end, I mean, tight end's pretty much a dumpster fire this week. So he's as good of a tournament speculation guy as anybody else in that price range, I would say. Again, especially on a team that does like to throw the ball and down their number 2 and number 3 receivers, that this could could add a little bit into Arnold. And I think also it might open things up for Kenyon Drake a little bit more too. You could see Drake a little more in the passing game. You could see Chase Edmonds a little more in the passing game. I know Edmonds is trying to give it a go. He didn't practice on Friday, which that worries me. Usually, if it's like a veteran day or something, I don't find concern about that. But a young guy like Edmonds not practicing on Friday is a little concerning there. Even though they say he's going to try to give it a go, but if Edmonds is out, I mean, Drake becomes almost a must play. I would say, if Edmonds is out along with Fitzgerald and Kirk, I mean, it's Drake and Hopkins. There's really there's nobody else there that is a core on their offense. It's all going to be all right. Who's going to be able to find something to do? Where I think Drake might be a little overlooked and could be a really strong guy there too this week.
Drake's been overlooked all year. Drake's just been good this year. He's been
solid. He had that very slow start, but he's picked it up. He's been solid. At that price range, he's been serviceable.
Very true. I was going to segue L, but I've noticed our guest has for a second. So when he comes back in, we'll get back to him. So we'll answer another question in the chat. Sam wants to know, dreaded tight end question: Kittle, Fant, or Gesicki? I'm team Gesicki this week. He hammered the Bills the last time he played them. He's going to basically be their wide receiver too. I don't trust at all Tua, but I think this is a great matchup for him. His target share has been really good. He's been getting in the end zone. $4,200. I mean, it's been in forever. It's an insulting price. I think it's just a dumb price on him. If I had the money, I'd use him in cash. I'll be honest with you. I think Gesicki's great for a tournament. I have him in a tournament. I've been using him a lot in tournaments, actually. I think Gesicki's good. He's my choice over those other two guys, over Kittle and Fant. Believe it or not, I would use Gesicki in this case. Gouda, where do you see that?
Well, I like Kittle better, but if we're talking about prices and what it does for lineups, I think Gesicki is the better option. That price difference. I mean, then you're going to have to spend down on a couple extra spots to get Kittle in there.
Yep.
So I do lean Gesicki just because it's better for your lineup construction, and I mean Gesicki probably has as much not as much upside as Kittle does, but not very far off, and especially on a point per dollar basis, Gesicki probably works out to be a better play.
I agree with that. Well, let's bring in our resident Gesicki fanboy, and we'll see. Hey, Big Sean, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, boys. What's going on?
It's a big day for you today, huh? I think anything exciting going on in your NFL life?
Not talking about it.
Nothing at all.
Nope.
Nothing going on today.
Nope. Nothing.
No, nothing. Okay, so we'll just take that. We won't even bring it up. I'll wait for Sean to get off the air for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about. Sean, nice to see you. Happy New Year. Did you celebrate New Year's in Canada? Just making sure.
We were locked down. We had nowhere to go. Ontario's a disaster.
Did you see the pictures from Vegas? It was like there was nothing going on. New York City, by the way, big ups to New York City for having a safe New Year celebration. Vegas, not so much.
There was some morons in Nathan Phillips Square up in Toronto too, but nothing like Vegas. Vegas is still
hundreds of thousands of people on the strip. It was insane. But let's not get to the negative.
I just want to interrupt one thing. There's actually a surprise active. Mark Ingram is active for the Ravens, so I don't know if that maybe will affect. I don't know if that's going to affect Edwards or if it's going to affect Dobbins. Or maybe he's just active just as an emergency guy. But the fact that he's been inactive the past 2 weeks maybe causes a little concern for using Dobbins this week potentially.
If they're trying to make the playoffs, Jim Harbaugh should be fired and tested for drugs if he doesn't feed Dobbins in the team. If Mark Ingram leads this team in carries, if Gus Edwards gets too many carries, they should keep doing what they've been doing. Run Dobbins, run Lamar, let Edwards be the change of pace a little bit and keep Ingram's ass on the bench. Like Dobbins is so much better than the other guys.
Clearly.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully he's just there for some veteran presence.
Yeah.
Is Edwards in as well?
What's that?
Is Edwards in as well?
Yeah. All three backs are active.
See, I ran Dobbins because I figured the other two were out and Harbaugh couldn't screw that up. Now I'm like, now he has a chance to screw it up.
He just give the ball to Justice Hill. I don't know what these coaches are thinking. Like Dobbins is so far and away the best running back on that team. Like it's ridiculous. He should get 20 touches a game.
I have Dobbins in a couple lines just because I figure Harbaugh couldn't screw it up if the other two were out. But
I have Dobbins in cash on FanDuel because price was too good. I have Dobbins in cash, so I'm going to keep rolling them because I think it's just got to have so many people active. So. Fingers crossed on this one. I love me some Dobbins. So, Sean, you are our dirtiest of slots. You are our slot expert. What do you got for us today, buddy? Where are we looking for some slot value today?
It got some real beauties this week, actually.
Hopefully,
and they're all going to be. We had a pretty solid week last week, and hoping to keep it going this week. So, 15 game slate. Don't sweat ownership, I guess, too much. But from what I could see, the guys in the slot are basically, we're going to get a lot of them under 5%, some of them down to, basically nothing. Is Marlon Humphrey out? Have we heard about Marlon Humphrey yet?
Late game, so we don't have any, we don't have that yet.
They're the late game, right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if Marlon Humphrey's out, roll Tyler Boyd.
Oh, no, that's an early game. I'm sorry. That's the early game. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see that he was out, though. I think he's active.
Okay, if Humphrey's active, forget Boyd. Anyways, moving on. That was easy. I like so Curtis Samuel. I know, Doug, I'm sure you've touched on him. I don't know if you've touched on him yet. I know I saw that he was in your cash core. Is he still there?
He is he's a core play for me across all formats, across all sites. I'm in love with Curtis Samuel today.
Yeah, he's the captain, obvious this week. With Dan C-Mac out. I know what's his name? Rodney. What's the running back for Carolina? Was it Rodney Smith? What's his name?
Rodney Smith.
Yeah, Rodney Smith. Let everybody play Rodney Smith. Curtis Samuel. I would bet Curtis Samuel leads the backfield in touches today.
I would hope so.
Plus, he'll get his 4 or 5 targets and lock and load there.
He's good. Marlon Humphrey is active, by the way.
Who is?
Humphrey is active. Yes.
All right, so I'll have to update that. Don't go near Boyd then. Even at 0% ownership, it's just not worth it. I was hoping Humphrey was going to be out because then I'd get Boyd at 0%. But anyways,
so no Tyler Boyd Goodwin this week.
No, get off Tyler Boyd. Now with Humphrey, if Humphrey was going to be out, then I was going to be all over Boyd. But now you can't. I can't go there with him playing. The dirty slot play this week is Mr. Zach Pascal.
Love it. I love that play.
Everyone's going to be on Jonathan Taylor, obviously. But Mr. Pascal actually leads the Colts he's second in red zone targets, but he's first in end zone targets, which when I I was kind of already on Pascal anyway, but that sort of confirmed it because Colts blow Jacksonville. I still think Pascal, they're going to get down there. I think Pascal might get his. And at the expense of Taylor, which is just win-win for if you're going to pull the fade of Taylor and his ownership. I mean, the Colts passing game, we usually kind of like, but for $4,200, the targets are there. Rivers loves Pascal. I mean, and the red zone and end zone activity, that's a lock and load for sure. I mean, it's not even really a dirty slap play. I mean, it's actually kind of like it a lot actually this week.
Yeah, I've got a lot of lineups with Pat and Taylor actually. I think it makes a lot of sense this week. He's priced too well. He's priced very well, Pascal.
Well, there's a good chance Taylor or Pascal monopolize touchdowns, right? If Taylor gets one, Pascal gets one or two, or versa, you're monopolizing all that, and then you're good to go, right?
Yep.
And no one's going to have Pascal with Taylor.
Yes.
I like that strategy.
No, maybe this is so. Perhaps this is not the week to run Rivers naked. There's some good options this week.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, Rivers. I mean, it's if you're playing the 15 game slate, right? Like, don't worry about ownership. Don't worry about. I mean, just roll out your lineup. Everyone's gonna get cute. There's gonna be so many landmines. Like, just so many landmines today. Like, it's just gonna be, But this is week 17. This is how it is every year, and this is what makes it fun, right?
It's one of the most fun weeks of the year.
Absolutely. And the other guys I'm liking, I'm really liking Robert Woods in the late game. Cup's out. You got the AAF All-Star John Wolford starting there. I'm expecting Woods to get a lot of water. I expect to be running out of the slot a lot. Reynolds will be out wide. I'm expecting. So I love some Robert Woods. I think they're going to design some quick Wolford, keep him keep him clean. Let him get some completions under his belt. End arounds, McVay out there with all his craziness. But I love Woods. What I would probably keep Woods in your flex if you're going to go there, or at least have a backup option depending on where you are. I mean, if you're trailing, Woods is a great play because I have his ownership pretty low actually. I have him down. He should come in less than 3%, especially on the big slate. On the late slate, he might be a little more popular, but no one's going there. Everyone's going to play Malcolm Brown or actually is Henderson out?
Yeah, Henderson's out.
Henderson's out. Yeah, Akers is going to try to play.
So they're not going to. I don't think they need to risk Akers. I mean, they should. I mean, the Rams should. Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, their defense is still there, Arizona, whatever. But I love Woods today.
Yeah, Woods plus, if you're a statistical nerd like I am, he's 14 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns away from 100,010 season, and that would be all the zeros, just binary goodness right there.
I think he's going to get absolutely peppered with targets today, and end arounds and everything else. Like, I think he'll handle everything he can. Everything he can handle. McVay will throw to him. I got Chris Godwin as well in the slot. He should come in less than 7%. Tampa Bay needs to win this game to avoid Seattle or the Saints in the first round. So I expect them to come out gunning, and it's Atlanta. Mike Evans, I'm sure, will be very popular, but Godwin is just, he's a machine. He just kind of gets it done. Brady trusts him. He gets, and he's in the same thing, less than 7% in a very happy environment. Love me some Godwin this week. And then the last guy, of course, Mr. CD. He's another one. I have him coming in really low owned as well. Got him coming in at probably less than 3% as well. Bradbury's going to raise Cooper on the outside. The last time the Giants and Cowboys played, Cooper and Gallup combined for 8 targets, and Lamb had 11. Yes, it was with Dak. Back in 5, I believe it was, but
it was.
Yeah. CD Lamb. I think Bradbury races Cooper and or Gallup or both. And Lamb's going to get peppered. Dalton Schultz probably same idea, right? I don't know if you guys have talked about Schultz or if you've got that yet, but love me some CD Lamb as well.
Good.
And you guys, Mike Gesicki. You guys mentioned Mike Gesicki. I mean, you don't have. It was funny. I have probably a lot of Mike Gesicki today.
Not surprised there. Not surprised. That's the goodie special right there. We love, but Gesicki's. I mean, it's the cheapest he's been in months, and it's the best matchup. It's the best game of the year was against Buffalo earlier. That's when Gesicki became a thing for you. I feel like Gesicki against Buffalo was the impetus of the whole dirty slot article concept, was because of Gesicki against Buffalo. So why not play him again this week?
Yeah, it was like week 3 or week 4, I think it was. It was his ownership. I mean, like, we kind of had like this eureka moment. We're like, wait a minute, how are these guys so low owned?
Yep. I really think. I mean, he is the original dirty slot. It was week 2, and he went 8 for 130 and a touch. And I mean, that's just been like, and he's been doing that all year. When a team doesn't cover the slot well, he's had really big weeks.
And the Bills really don't. I mean, I haven't heard anything yet. Do we have any? Are Bills resting anybody on the defensive side?
They all their guys are active except for Trey White's out, but their big players are active. But I just don't think they're going to play him much. I think it's going to be a preseason game. They're going to play one quarter and then call it a day. I don't think they care if Miami gets into the playoffs. So I don't think they care if they lose to Miami. I don't matter to them this week.
No, the teams like Buffalo and Pittsburgh, they want to come out of these games healthy. They don't care.
Yep.
Right? There's no second team bye. So
now there's really no huge benefit other than potentially avoiding Kansas City for an extra week. But I don't think Buffalo's scared of Kansas City. I honestly don't think they care. Plus, I think Pittsburgh needs to lose for Buffalo to come down to the 3rd seed. And I won't discuss the Pittsburgh situation until you log out. But Pittsburgh ain't winning this week, so it doesn't matter.
I don't even know what you're talking about there. I'm not sure.
If Pittsburgh wins, those might be the last words that Sean ever lets me utter to him. So
let's just say it'll be moving on to the NHL full time immediately.
Yeah, right. Speaking of NHL, we're less than 2 weeks away, 10 days away from puck drop-in, and Goody's got us for the NHL, and I'm going to bring him in for a second. Hook, welcome to the show. John Hook, the Hook Monster's here. And Josh just privately chatted us, and he goes 1 hour till hockey time. He's already told us as soon as football kicks off, he goes into hockey mode. Sean and Hook are 2 big hockey guys. Hockey kicks off. Puck drops in 10 days. I'll be doing some hockey this year. Jeff Kaminsky. I think Troy. Is Troy doing a day of hockey this year too?
I believe Troy. Yeah, I believe Troy.
So we got the team involved. Gouda, you're not doing hockey. Is that correct?
No. Nope.
Gouda's baseball and football only. Gouda sticks to the two big uns. I try them all. So we got hockey coming up. If you want to be a part of that action, the hockey action, it's all part of our BanksterDFS.com membership. $3.99 a week gets you access to everything, all of our sports: baseball, football, basketball, hockey, all the minor sports, major sports, niche sports, college sports, and you get all the Sean and Hook and Doug and Gouda and the rest of the team that you can handle. Sean, I'm going to let you head out and enjoy this relaxing, no pressure weekend. Enjoy the football, and we'll catch up with you in Slack later this afternoon. I assume I won't hear from you much until the late games start, but try to enjoy your morning.
Dude, it's the Browns. You got this, Sean. You're good. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I was good last week too. Remember?
Yeah. Don't remind me. Last week stunk.
That was fun. All right, Sean, we'll catch up with you later, buddy. Thank you. Again, you can find Sean in our Bankster DFS members only Slack chat, $3.99 a week, part of everything. You get it all. All right, Sean, we'll catch you later, buddy. Good luck today.
Cheers.
Bye.
Good luck.
And now we've got Josh Hook, Monster Leverage, coming in. Talk a little more. We'll talk some GPP action with Hook, the other part of the dynamic duo for the hockey team, and my writing partner for baseball articles. Which, hey, we're like three or so months away from that firing back up again. But now he is our leverage master. He is providing us with the monster leverage. Hook, what do we got going on today? Where are we finding the leverage? I know you put us in chat that we're blowing up your spot a little bit here with some of the plays Sean put out there. Which play was it that Sean put out there that you were getting pissy about?
Not pissy. I mean, like Gesicki was like my favorite tight end, and I have him.
Isn't he great today?
Oh, he's great. Like Buffalo, everyone's active, but they're not playing. I mean, like maybe a quarter.
No.
It's gonna be a quarter. I like Gaskin too. Like just kind of general slate thoughts. Like I ran like a really tight running back pool this week. more so than I normally do, because I think there's a lot of uncertainty in these these games that don't matter. Like I get Josh Jacobs is in a really good spot, so I'm not playing him unless I have a Denver stack going with it or something along those lines. Like I need heavy correlation in that side. Like it's tough for me to see a team giving their running back in a meaningless game 25 carries, especially someone they have hopes for. Like, does that make sense?
Yes.
I just
why risk him? Why risk him, right?
Exactly. Like Jacobs is a part of that offense next year. There's no reason to. I mean, he might get there, but it's just I'm gonna predict more on like just the game flow environment when I'm using pieces like that, like the Minnesota Detroit game, for example. Like I want to bring back because I need both sides to be in the game for me to hit a score in theory to win the tournament. Is right. What we're looking for today. And so, but Gesicki was my first guy. Like I just think he's going to go under-owned. I think Buffalo, because also a lot with these rosters is you can't put 30 guys as inactives or 20 because your roster size isn't that big. Like exactly. I know Stephon Diggs is wearing a uniform today, but he ain't playing, or he isn't going to play long. Gesicki torched them last time out. Tua's been throwing to Gesicki, and Milano looks like he's not going to play. And I can't think of their other linebacker, but Buffalo hasn't been stellar against slot/tight end coverage, and they have no receivers other than Gesicki really to throw to in Miami today. And I think he's going to go significantly lower owned than Waller and Kittle. And like I said, they have motivation to play today. Miami needs to win. So I think that's the guy who's going to be and 4,200. That's just stupid cheap for like a wide receiver.
It's insulting.
Yeah, I mean, why am I not? I mean, I'm not lock betting him, but he's going to be 30-40% of my line was probably. The bigger leverage pieces I wanted to talk about though, and I was kind of shocked when I looked at the ownership. My number one play today, I think, is Nick Chubb. Pittsburgh is missing 5 of their starting front 7 today. Tuitt's out, Hayward's out, T.J. Watt's out, and then the 2 linebacker injuries in Dupree and Devin White. I know Pittsburgh rates is a top 5 run. Cleveland has all the incentive in the world to win today. If you're telling me Nick Chubb's going to come in at like sub 10% ownership, I want to be all over that. Kareem Hunt's carries have trended down the last 4 weeks pretty significantly, and I don't think Cleveland is going to do – I just don't see the reason to put Kareem Hunt in this game much. I think they're going to give it to Chubb, do what works, and go for the win. And they're also getting 2 massive they're getting a Weller back, I think, at guard, and I think it's Wirfs as their tackle. So I think that's just a huge upgrade to the Cleveland offense. Like the Pittsburgh defense, this isn't the Pittsburgh defense. This is their practice squad basically playing today. So I think Chubb at that price is a great spot. And then the other one I like.
We talked about Chubb, and we refer to the Pistons as the D squad. Like it's not even their backups. It's just their squad. Like they don't care. Yeah,
they're. I mean, like Claypool, Deontay, they're even active today, but I don't think they're playing much if they play at all. I think 2 of the preseason. That other one I like, another guy with super low ownership in a game that matters is Zeke Elliott. The Giants have been allowed the 12th most points in fantasy to running backs this season. Zeke looked like he took over the backfield last week. They're still playing for the playoffs. Andy Dalton wants his $1 million check bonus for making the playoffs. They're very alive and can make it today. I love bringing them back with Sterling Shepard and to a lesser degree Darius Slayton. The Dallas Cowboys have given up the 2nd most points to wide receivers this season, and Shepard. I think Ingram's a little banged up. Probably won't get a full allotment of touches today. And I think Shepard last week, if you look at his game log, man, they targeted him I think 12 times. And at 5,200 won't be high owned. He can go off without even their quarterback going off because, I mean, I'm not really going to put much faith in who's starting today there. Is it McCoy or Jones? Have they said?
It's Danny Dimes.
Woohoo. But I would actually really like Danny Dimes if I thought he could run, but I still don't think he can right now.
No, Jones admitted his hamstring is still a little messed up, and he's going to be more in the pocket than scrambling around.
Yeah, so I mean that goes to Shepard and his shorter intermediate routes, especially if Ingram's banged up. But it's who I would be my lean, and it's pretty significant lean. Like Shepard's one of my favorite plays today. So here's my question to you guys, though. Okay, so the Detroit-Minnesota game, Do you feel like this is like Matt Stafford in all theory shouldn't be playing today, right? Like he's hurt. He's left the last 2 games hurt. Do you feel like this is like a farewell tour? Like I'm going to give one last time to the fans and I'm going to go sling it for 3 or 4 quarters? Or do you worry that he might only play a half game?
I'll let Gouda take that first.
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I haven't seen much about him not being in Detroit next year. I mean, can they get out of it without a lot of dead money or anything? You know?
Yeah, I've been reading a lot that he's likely to not be in Detroit next year.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of talk about Indianapolis for him next year. If Rivers retires, there's a lot of talk about Indianapolis for him next year.
Yeah. If that's the case, it definitely could be, one of those types of things. I mean, I do know Stafford is the type of player that is basically going to play through anything. Like you basically got to chain him down for him not to play. So if he can be out there, he'll be out there. I mean, it's a matter of getting hurt again, or if it's just a blowout like we saw last week that they're just not going to have him out there. But yeah, I mean, listen, if Stafford's out there and playing the whole game, I mean, he's definitely a viable option. I think that's going to be one of the higher scoring games this week. You got 2 teams with some younger players. Neither team has played for anything, for the past couple of weeks, really. And, you got a Minnesota team that I think Cousins is going to throw all over them, giving, the Lions some opportunities there to do something. So there's definitely some possibilities there.
I'm concerned about Stafford getting re-injured, and which is really concerning because I have way too much Minnesota in my life, especially in cash, with Cousins and Jefferson. But Stafford's going out there. He's a warrior. He's going to do everything he can, but he's been knocked out each of the last couple of games, and he shouldn't be playing. But he's also one of the toughest dudes in the NFL. I'm not playing the Detroit side of this game. That's let's go. Let's put it. Let's cap it at that. I don't. I might throw some Marvin Jones in there. I might play a little DeAndre Swift, but I'm not leading with the Detroit side of this game. Like I'll play the Minnesota game with back, but I won't play the Detroit side of this game with Stafford as my quarterback. I can't do it. I just don't know if he makes it the whole game. But do I think he's in Detroit next year? No.
Yeah, I was worried more hey, Stafford, go play a half, and then ceremonially we'll bring in Chase Daniel and let you go. Thank you.
I can see that happening.
And that's just because you kind of got to worry about that today. It's a fun slate, but it's. Again, you don't know what starters are going to play for. Like, if you're spending money, I would make sure I want a player who is in a game that means something. Like, I wouldn't spend $7K on a game that's irrelevant.
I can't play Stafford for a multitude of reasons. Most number one being I think I'm not sure he lasts the whole game physically, but you're right. They could pull him if they're just ceremonial, or they go down big and just want to hurt him. I don't know. I think there are a lot of people out there playing Stafford, which I think provides some leverage on our end because I just can't do it. Like I'd rather use his weapons than.
Yeah, I mean that's sometimes. I mean, sometimes I'd rather just have. I like Jones today, but I just don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I have to go to. I don't think I need Stafford necessarily with him. Like I like Jones a lot actually, but I just don't think I need Stafford with him. And Stafford hasn't really looked good. I mean, I think it's kind of trying to make something out of nothing. Because now I'm reading to my other guy I like, though. I like this Denver-Vegas game, though. I think both defenses are pretty bad, especially in the secondary. I like Drew Lock today. In 3 of his last 8 games, he's gone top 7 in fantasy, where he's been in the bottom 5. So, I mean, you're getting ARB. So, if you're going to buy this game, sell out to it. And it's cheap. Like, you can do Lock and then bring in, Patrick or Judy or Fant. I prefer Fant. And then bring it back with a Raider like Waller or even do 2 tight ends, go Waller and Fant. And then you can pay up for Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, maybe Devontae. I mean, it's pretty easy to do that. I like putting my expensive pieces with a stack like that, where I think it's a game that it could suck or it has the potential to go gross, like where they just start shooting it out and having fun and slinging the ball around.
Drew Lock is one of the best quarterbacks in the league for that. If it's just a backyard, sling it, don't care about winning, just put up points kind of game, like that's where Drew Lock excels. Judy had 15 targets last week. I mean, he's fine, and he only caught 6 of them, but he had 15 targets. I mean, they're trying to pepper the kid. I mean, I don't know though.
It's like I mean, I'm building 20 lineups. These aren't
sure.
I'm not building a cash lineup here. I wasn't even going to dream of doing that this week. And then another pivot spot I really am intrigued with, just because I think the usage might be off the charts, and he's really cheap, and he's going to be next to nothing owned. Kenyon Drake. I know the Rams D's good, but if Chase Edmonds sits today, that'll put him in a pass game role or more than because they don't have a third back there. They don't use it. And I think Fitzgerald's out. Are we confirmed on Kirk being out?
Kirk's out.
Yeah. Kirk is 100% out. Fitz said he wants to try to play, but there's not a ton of hope on that.
Yeah, and like for an offense that doesn't really throw the ball deep, and with Kirk out, you don't have that ability, and the Rams take away the deep pass. A guy who's 5.4K and could get all the workload, plus maybe they're going to use him to move the ball, throwing a little bit, like take him from 2 catches to 5 potentially. Like that's a lot for 5 at a guy who's going to be under 5% owned, and a game that matters today. Like they have to win. I think that game's probably gross. Other than that, I don't really have any bringbacks on that game. I think Drake's a really nice cheap pivot play, along with Ty Montgomery. Not Ty Montgomery. Sorry, the wrong Ty. I'm going to shout out to Gouda here. We're going to go Ty Johnson today. I think Ty Montgomery's kind of a GPP trap today. He's going to be maybe the highest owned running back, and if that's the case, I'm saying,
I say he's a huge trap because when Taysom Hill gets 12 carries and 3 touchdowns, everyone's gonna be like, "Why did I play Ty Montgomery?"
Yeah, I was hoping I'd start Taysom Hill
So
on my
I
flex
agree.
today. I don't think Montgomery's a good play at all today. I'm just not on him. Period. I think Ty Johnson's probably going to get 20 carries and a very beatable matchup versus New England. I think he's going to come in at about sub 10% as well. Gore's out, Perrine's out. That's the backup, right? Perrine for the Jets.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they have Josh Adams, who will be active. I mean, Adams has gotten a couple carries the past couple of games. He had like 6 or 7 carries in that Vegas game when Gore was out on the second play with a concussion. But Johnson's definitely the lead guy today.
And it's a good spot. I mean, New England's not good. Cam Newton's probably only going to play a half. I would think. I mean, he's been benched for Stidham. I think 2 of the last 3 games or something like that. I just don't see the motivation. I don't really see the motivation for either team, but I think Ty Johnson gets 20 carries against a very soft defense and can win today. I think the Jets D is actually in play as well. That Patriots D, every time you look at him, it looks gross.
Oh God, it's so bad.
We have now officially entered the part of the show where the Jets become our main topic of conversation. It's early for us to log off though, but this is where we're at. Don't worry. There's another Jets question in the queue coming up, which we'll address in a minute or two.
I saw in chat. I like Cleveland defense a lot. They're going to
pull that up right here. This is the Jets question. Is it Pascal in Cleveland or Crowder or Gallup in a sub 2,200 defense? I like Crowder and Gallup, but I really don't like the sub 2,200 defenses. And since I like Pascal as much as those other guys, I'll take Pascal in the better defense in this case. I guess you can make an argument for the Titans defense, but they just don't get to the quarterback at all. I think I'd rather just go Pascal and the Browns, though I have no problem with Crowder and Gallup, in a vacuum. But in this 2v2, give me the Cleveland defense.
I love the Cleveland D. I mean, they're aggressive. They're playing Mason Rudolph, Myles Garrett, and him have their history. Like they're gonna be hungry today.
Myles Garrett's gonna do some things.
I hope it's the game I get today at noon. I really do. I want to watch it. I think Houston's going to put up points too, and I don't like defenses that don't score points, and the Titans don't score points because that's what we want. And I think honestly that Houston side, if you want to pivot off Henry chalk, which I'm going to do, I'm either going Watson with one of his receivers, or I'm going to do. It feels like every time Derrick Henry's chalk, Tannehill, AJ Brown, or Tannehill, Corey Davis goes off. Like it's just they can score whichever way they want, especially against this defense. But if you want to just be different than Derrick Henry lineups, put Tannehill with one of his receivers because if Derrick Henry fails, those 3 go off.
Or one of my favorite stacks for the day is Tannehill, Brown, Brandon Cooks. And I don't mind including Henry in that stack, honestly, because you can make it work. But I definitely have Tannehill, Brown, and I actually have Watson, Cooks, and Brown as well. I think that's a real good way to go for GPPs. I don't love GPPs today. I actually prefer cash this week. I think it's actually easier for this week. Usually week 17 is not easier, but this week I think cash is pretty concentrated, the pool. If things go the way we hope they do, there's a lot of teams playing for a lot of things. But I think for a GPP, I mean, I like Minnesota, I like Baltimore, but that Tennessee-Houston game, especially if you get off Henry, is potentially very tasty for a GPP.
Yeah. And Houston's been saying the right things this week. Like Watson playing is an indication that they care. I think they like Cordell. JJ Watt went nuts in the media last week about his team. Like I think Houston shows up today, and I think they can score and chuck it. So, I mean, I think Houston's kind of a live dog today. But yeah, I do. I think it's a good spot for Houston. I mean, I like Kuti a little bit. I'm not touching the tight end by committee. A lot of snaps, but he hasn't been targeted the last 2 weeks. So if you want to get really weird, that's the way you go there. But yeah, the whole Tennessee offense isn't a bad idea. Just going Tannehill, Henry, and Brown or Davis, and then just go, well,
yep.
Hopefully I hit the right receiver and I get all the points.
Hey, when in doubt, make more lineups. That's the Bankster way. This is the way.
I was playing 3 max till yesterday. I'm already up to 20 this morning. So hey.
I was right before we went live. I started throwing in some more lines. Like, ooh, I could do some late game cash, early game cash. Let's play in that. And it's just like you start to get yourself into trouble. As long as you're balancing out the cash and the GPP, you should be okay. If your cash hit, just gotta bankroll management. Still gotta be smart about it. But when in doubt, throw an extra. If the very worst, you throw a $1 out there in a $1 GPP. If you just got to scratch that itch, you get them out there, or you throw a quarter lineup out there and hope it does. Quarter lineup can still win you a couple grand in the right tournament. So scratch that itch, throw another lineup out there. It's not gonna, hopefully it won't kill you as long as you're playing enough cash. You should be fine.
Yeah. Just big trick I do with bankroll management is every Sunday night I sit down and go what I'm willing to play for a slate for the week. Like just don't go over this no matter what. That's just how I do it. I go every slate I'm looking to play, every sport, and then just I have a plan for the week, and then I don't have to answer that question in the morning.
And the plan is, what you should do is spend only 90% of it up until about now on Sundays. Then you got that last 10% to scratch that itch. That's the way to do it. Because you're like, oh, I got this last great idea. Let's do that.
Well, I don't even register until I'm just starting to register for contests now because I think the last hour they open up a smaller contest, which are better for bankroll management. And a lot of those lineups are not optimal. People are just trying to get to players they didn't put in the bigger lineups because they're like, oh, I needed to have exposure to this guy today because I heard him on a live stream at 11:20 in the morning.
Oh, you mean the Doug method of make more lineups?
Yeah, exactly. So I have my lineups already stored in DraftKings, get it ready to go. I just haven't put them in. I mean, then it's just going to be mass enter them, and I'll be good to go.
It's a very good tip. That's a very good tip for 12:23 in the afternoon here on a Sunday morning of week 17. I love that idea because those smaller tournaments should, in theory, be easier. And if the lineups are suboptimal, because I know I'm that guy. I'll go, ooh, let me throw this crazy idea out there. Let's put the Jet stack in there, and it's clearly going to lose, and that's just one less person you got to compete with. And for listen, I'd rather win a $200 first prize than lose $20 in the Million Maker because I have to go up against 250,000 people. It just makes more sense. If you can just try to avoid the big prize, someone's going to win it. So it's, you take your shots, but for the most part, you play the smaller field tournaments, and a small win is better than no win. Yeah,
I mean that's a lot of how I just built bankroll in hockey last year. I just waited for 5 o'clock to hit, and there'd be a 200-person tournament, and I'd clean them up on them just because my lineup's ready, and it was. I didn't look at the first prize and everything. I was looking at, can I win this? Yep. And you're not going to win mini tournaments with 300,000 people in them.
No, you're not. It's just that how things work. All right, Hook.
I do it. I mean, it's fun.
No, it's fun to do, but that's not where you're making your money. Those are lottery tickets. That's not bankroll building. So.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Hook, we appreciate everything today. Love the segment. Thank you for coming on all year. It's been outstanding. Sean, if you're out there listening too, thank you for coming on all year. I really appreciated all the additional segments during the football season, and I can't wait to see what Hook and Sean bring us during the NHL season. Only 10 days away. I assume we'll do some live streams. And you can get all their work at banksterdfs.com, $3.99 a week. It's part of everything. You just get everything for $4. That's all it is. You get hockey, baseball, basketball, football, minor sports, niche sports, college sports, everything. We cover it all. Showdown slates, the best Slack chat in the business, award-winning articles, and the daily player pools. And you can go talk to Hook right now in the Slack chat. I'm sure he'll be in there as he's mass entering his lineups into these little tournaments. Hook will be there. Sean will be there. The rest of the team will be there. I got Tay Wagner sitting in the chat right now. Hey, Tay. He is our he's our MMA guru, putting stuff out every single week. You go talk to Tay. Talk to Tay about some fights. I'm sure Tay will talk football with you too. Hook, we'll catch up with you later, buddy. I'm sure we'll see you in Slack in about a half hour.
Yep, we'll see you guys.
Have a good one.
Good luck.
Good luck.
So there's one question that's been sitting in the chat. And Mark, thank you for waiting on it, Mark. It just wasn't, I didn't see it until after Sean left. Mark wants to know if we're worried about the Saints D with Curtis Samuel. Good, I'll let you take this one, and then I'll throw in any thoughts if I have additional thoughts on that.
No, not particularly. I mean, Samuel should get a lot of touches. I mean, there's a good chance Samuel sees double-digit touches this week between carries and his targets with receptions, and also too, Samuel his most of his carries tend to be a little less traditional. The Saints defense is very good at stopping the run. They, on Christmas Day, Dalvin Cook, played pretty well against them, but overall, the Saints defense has been pretty good against the run. But they're also not going to be giving Curtis Samuel handoffs right up the middle. That's not happening. It's going to be more, stretches to the outside or reverses or a pass behind the line of scrimmage out wide and screen type of thing. So those are more of the running attempts that Samuel gets. And again, at his price point, if you can tell me that a receiver in the low 5,000s is going to get double-digit touches, or at least is projected to be that, I think that's just a fantastic value. So no, the Saints defense does not worry me for the Samuel play.
At the last 3 weeks, I understand they play Kansas City in there, which is a tough matchup, but they've given up 246, 179, and 90 on the ground. They've given up 24, 32, and 33. Those games is against the Eagles, who had Carson Wentz starting that game, and Jalen Hurts came in during that game and did fine, and they ran plenty. I mean, the Saints got dominated in that game. And let's be real, if Green Bay jumps out to a little bit of lead, the Saints are going to be scoreboard watching with some COVID issues and pretty much Green Bay has to lose and Seattle has to win and New Orleans has to win for the Saints to get the top seed in the NFC. I just think the Saints are going to rest some guys probably come second half. And Carolina won't. Curtis Samuel needs 70 total yards to get to 1,000 scrimmage yards this year, which would make him the fourth player on the team to get to 1,000 scrimmage yards. They don't have a running back. Mike Davis is out, most likely. He's doubtful. Christian McCaffrey's not playing. Curtis Samuel, if I'm not mistaken, is a free agent, so he's going to want to play his best to make some money. I don't know if Carolina cares about using him if they're going to lose him in free agency anyway. I don't know how excited they are to re-sign him. I think they're just going to give him a ton of work, see what he can do. So no, I'm not particularly concerned, especially with it being week 17 and the fact that I think after some scoreboard watching, I do think New Orleans is just I think they're going to rest some guys, and I definitely don't think they're going to play to get hurt. Like, I just don't see that happening. They've got a big game coming up next week, most likely, and could be without some major players. They're going to need everyone healthy for that game. All right, so let's see if we can finally get to our rundown. We haven't looked at that. We kind of hit our cash game pool. One of the things Gouda brought up was not getting too cute, particularly in cash this week. A lot of value out there. Week 17 can get crazy, and there's just so many guys that you can look at and go, ooh, this guy, ooh, this guy, ooh, this guy. You want to talk a little bit about that? What you meant by that when you told me this morning that we should probably add "don't get too cute" into our rundown for today?
Yeah, well, I mean, for your cash games and even your GPP lineups, there's value opening up because players are, because we're getting a lot of big name players not playing today. But sometimes, getting some of that value is just too much. Like sometimes it is. It's just too cute. It's just not necessary. Like for instance, one guy that I'm bringing on. I know you added him into your cash pool, but I'm pretty on the opposite side of you on this. Like there's a guy like Ty Montgomery. We've seen in the past that Montgomery is not a running back that holds up. Back in his Green Bay days, he switched from receiver to running back because of injuries and out of necessity. but he just wasn't very good. And yes, at a low price point, and maybe they rely on him a little bit. I just don't know if if Montgomery is really the guy that is going to be worthwhile, paying off. And that's the type of GPP play that, yes, it's the value there, but in some ways it's just getting too cute. Even in a GPP where, yes, you want to find low owned guys or some value, but also too, you got to be a little sensible with it as well. From the standpoint of, yeah, if you're looking for a value guy, a guy that we know is going to have a good workload, a guy that is going to be more of a focal part of their team's offense, and a guy like Ty Montgomery, yes, he might be a quote unquote starting running back. We have no idea really what he's going to be getting. We don't know if he's going to get 15 carries and a couple of targets, or is he going to get five carries and 3 targets, and just be even at a minimum price, it ends up being a complete waste anyway. Where a guy like Ty Johnson, we know Ty Johnson is work. Now Johnson he's not the best player on the board, but again, at $4,300 price point, we look for a guy that's getting a big workload. Same with Malcolm Brown. If Cam Akers is out, or even with Cam Akers in there, Brown is going to have more of a workload than he normally does, and which is why he's priced where he is, because he normally doesn't be used that much. So, it's guys like that. And, if you're looking for that 1 week guy that normally doesn't play, I'd probably use Darwin Thompson as opposed to Ty Montgomery. Again, I'm not crazy about using Thompson, but at least he's been on the Chiefs for 2 years. Mm-hmm. The 3 guys ahead of him are not playing. He is going to be the lead guy. They've already said he's getting the bulk of the work. So at least on Darwin Thompson, we have a little more understanding that there's going to be some work there. Where Montgomery, we have no idea what the Saints offense is doing. And frankly, if the Saints are looking to win this game, it's possible you see Taysom Hill play more at running back than Ty Montgomery even does, So there's also that crazy possibility with how Sean Payton uses his team. So it's things like that where you just look and you just say, all right, let's go for guys that are going to get the work. They're going to get a high percentage of snaps. And if it doesn't pay off, well, at least we had a reason to use them, as opposed to, well, all the Saints running backs are out and Ty Montgomery is last guy standing, so we're just going to use him just because. At least have some reasoning to the plays.
I feel like I need to give you another question that you can ramble for at least 3 minutes about, so I can make a Darwin Thompson lineup now, because I have 0 Darwin Thompson. I feel like that's going to be a downfall. He's one of those guys. He was like Christine Michael and Jeff Janis of the fantasy community 2 years ago, where he was just everyone was on Darwin Thompson. Then he ended up doing absolutely nothing. Here's a question you can talk about too. Not that I'm going to go make another lineup, but Mark wants to know, he's debating Pascal or Chenault in cash. I've got Pascal in cash, but if you've got Taylor in your lineup, I could see the pivot to Laviska, especially. And I know you like Laviska other than Pascal, but I know you like Laviska, Gouda, because you talked him up on Friday a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Chenault's a good option this week, again, because this is, the Jaguars are in the ultimate evaluation spot right now. They know they've got the number 1 pick. They're going with a quarterback, so it's like, all right, let's see what other weapons we have. Chenault was a pretty highly rated prospect. He fell a little bit just because the draft class was absolutely loaded. But still, he's a good player. I think Pascal's in a great position today as well. I mean, on a 1 versus 1, I do like Pascal better than Chenault this week. But if you do have Taylor in your lineup, you probably do need to go Chenault just to avoid that stacking conflict and having multiple guys in the same lineup. I mean, if you're going to have the same, guys from the same team in your lineup, going against the Jaguars is not a bad place to do it. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't prefer it. I wouldn't want to particularly do it. But if the rest of your lineup is being built where you don't want to move any other guys and it comes down to Pascal or Chenault, again, I'd go with Pascal because I do think he's the better play. But if you want to avoid that, 2 guys from the same team, then I would go Chenault. And I don't think it's a bad play either, I would say.
Just looking at our Slack chat, noticed you saw as well that Steven decided to go put together a live stream Millie Maker or whatever it is lineup. We've been saying for weeks someone should go out there and put plays that we talked about on the live because they tend to do okay. And he's got a really good one out there, so I'll be rooting for that one. I will say it does have sitting the quarterback currently, and I'm all for that. That's that's how you go out and play, right? Is you go take what we say on here, and hopefully you wade through all the BS and you get the right plays on there. I haven't really talked down any players because that's usually a good way to build a winning lineup, as well as find all the players that I randomly talk poorly about and hope that they do well. But so I don't know, maybe it's the guys who are sitting. So maybe Chase Claypool, Steph Diggs, why not Latavius Murray? He's not playing, but I'm going to say it, right? You don't play him now. No, don't go do that. Don't go do that. I think we got to stick to the that'd be getting too cute at that point. Don't get too cute today.
Yeah.
To justify the Ty Montgomery part of the player pool, and I do think that Thompson makes a good play, and I do prefer Ty Johnson in cash over Montgomery. He's there because he's min price, and his ownership's going to be to the point where if you do play him and you need that money, he shouldn't kill you simply because if he does poorly, he should be fairly highly owned. But I don't have any great feelings about Montgomery. If you remember back, if we can rewind back to Friday night, where we were talking about Latavius Murray and how that was going to be the great downfall of my cash game lineup because Sean Payton would screw around and put in Taysom Hill to get those touchdowns. And, Murray would end up with like 18 rushes for 98 yards and nothing. And then that's sorry, my brother's in the chat being annoying. It throws me off. My brother has that ability. But no, if you thought he was going to screw around with Latavius Murray and he screwed around with Alvin Kamara, you don't think he's going to screw around with Ty Montgomery? Taysom Hill, man, lock button, 3 touchdowns right now. 12 carries, 3 touchdowns, 4 catches. I mean, it could I don't know if that's a lock button, but it could totally happen, and he's going to screw over Ty Montgomery, or he could. So I don't have any grand hopes for Ty Montgomery. I think Ty will catch some passes. I think he was fully capable of catching 6-7 passes and 30-40 yards on the ground. So, I mean, but then where's the upside? If he gets 6 catches for 40 yards and, 30 yards rushing, now, you're talking 13 points, which would hit value, but there's not a ton of upside with that either. If he doesn't get in the end zone, I mean, he's not. Here it is. Here's where I make a bold statement that obviously it's going to now happen. He's not rushing for 100 yards. Like Ty Montgomery's not going to get the volume where he gets 100 yards unless he busts off like an 80-yarder. It's just not going to happen. And so there you go. This is someone who knows. It's my brother, someone who knows me very well to know if I say, oh, he's definitely not getting 100 yards. Put him in your lineup. Heath knows what's up. Smart dude. No, I mean, there's not a ton of upside, but I think the ownership makes him someone that you at least put in the pool. But if it's me, and I am me, I have put Ty Johnson in cash game above Ty Montgomery for the early only, or for the full game slate. I do have Ty Johnson in there in lineup. So yeah, I agree with you on that. What else we got in our rundown today? What else are we looking at? Let's see. We're not getting too cute. Which we've already kind of talked about where we're stacking. Is there any game that we haven't really talked about that might be worth stacking? Because the one team that keeps coming, that I keep thinking about that no one's talking about is the Green Bay Packers. Packers need to win. Is that where you're headed?
Yeah, I mean that was one of the games that I actually wrote up this week too. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're talking about. Obnoxious Randy not getting too cute, and we're talking about going after players in games where teams have something to play for, and Green Bay Chicago is one of the few games where both teams need to win this week. And Green Bay needs a win to get the number 1 seed. Chicago needs to win to get into the playoffs. So both teams, these guys are playing the entire game. And with the way that both these offenses have been playing, there's a good chance that this game is a very high-scoring game. Now, I know people are going to remember. Last week with Green Bay shutting down the Titans' offense for the most part, especially shutting down Derrick Henry. So people are kind of off of this game a little bit, expecting it to be lower scoring. I don't see it.
Rodgers still had 26 points, by the way, even though they blew out Tennessee. Rodgers still blew up.
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers is looking to put the exclamation point to have a reason to to win the MVP vote. He's very competitive. Rodgers definitely wants to win the MVP, so I think he's going to really go out there and play for it this week. And let's not forget too, we laugh about Mitch Trubisky. He's played very well the past 4 weeks. It hasn't been against the best competition, but Green Bay's defense is nothing special either. And listen, maybe this is Trubisky finally finding his way, and if it is, I mean, this could definitely be a higher scoring game. I mean, Devontae Adams, I don't have to tell you to play Devontae Adams. Allen Robinson just gets peppered with targets, and Mooney's going to be a good play in the slot as well. Or I forget if he's lining up in the slot or outside, but he's pretty going to avoid Jair Alexander a lot of the game. And if they're scoring, Mooney's been, really their number 2 guy. And I think Tonyan at tight end is a good play to consider. We haven't talked about the Bears have been terrible versus the tight end all year. They've been beat up against the tight end the past couple of weeks. And Tonyan's kind of established himself as the number 2 target in that offense, at least on the wide receivers and tight end side. And he's been good, and the guy's a touchdown machine. It's just as likely if Tonyan's scoring a touchdown, he's scoring a second also. So I think that's a guy that's going very overlooked. That could be a strong play here as well. I think exposure to this game is going to be really good.
And Green Bay or Chicago's terrible against the tight end. They've been giving up a ton of points.
Yeah.
I'm just playing with numbers here. Just playing with something what we might be able to do in a GPP here. You want to get a little cute or not cute. There's something to be said about putting together this kind of a lineup. It's there. It's there. There's I mean, who's on Green Bay today? It's on Green Bay. It blows my mind. I'm not on Green Bay. I'll be honest. I don't have Green Bay exposure today. And maybe I should. But yeah, this. Yeah, you kind of could start there. You don't put Ty Johnson in there, and you don't worry about CeeDee Lamb. But you've got yourselves, a couple of Packers players, couple of Bears players. Maybe you avoid Allen Robinson, save a little bit of money, and that's that's a start to a build right there. And you get a cheap defense. You got 4,700 left per player, and there's more than enough value to make that work today. And if Green Bay goes out and scores 30 points, 40 points, you're looking pretty because it'll be very low ownership. So I think that's a decent way to go. And I do think you get that ownership. And honestly, old obnoxious Randy here, he's got the right idea. You take a chalky quarterback in Superflex, you load him up with a lower owned quarterback, both high upside guys. You get a couple of value plays, and that's how you build a good lineup. So thanks, Randy, for throwing that out there for us. That's a good way to take what we're saying and build a good lineup with it. I'm glad that you listen and and use our advice and trust our opinions. And I think that's a good way to go. And I think you got yourself at the beginnings of a really strong lineup there. Are there any other games besides Green Bay that we're just missing? Like, I'm trying to look here. Like, I think Dallas, New York could be good, but we've talked it up a little bit. I don't see it with Kansas City. I think the Chargers maybe have a little something. Indianapolis, we've talked them up. I don't think the Saints offense is worth using. Tampa Bay is a real interesting piece because, Brady's got, I think there's financial incentives if he's the top 5 passing yardage quarterback, and he's currently 5th. I think it's like $500,000. Not that Tom Brady needs $500,000, but he's ultra competitive, and he just doesn't care about last week of the season. To him, it's as good as week 3. Like, he's going out there to put up points. And as long as Arians lets him, it's a great matchup. And I don't think people are using Tampa Bay in tournaments. So I do think Tampa Bay is a real interesting way to go. And I happen to like Mike Evans in this spot. Evans has been a monster, and Brady's really figuring out how to use him over the last few weeks. The beginning of the year, we started with Evans would have like 2 catches, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns. But over the last few weeks, that volume has increased a lot. And Evans has been, he's been sort of a monster. So I think he's a guy that we can definitely keep an eye on. And then another game that people aren't really talking up, and I get it because the defense is supposedly pretty good and there's not a ton to play for, but if Green Bay falters, and if New Orleans starts, playing a close game, Seattle's got a shot at that number 1 seed as well. And their quarterback's pretty good too. He hasn't played great lately, and the Niners defense is decent, but there'll be no ownership on Seattle. No one's playing the Seahawks this week. I do have a Russell Wilson lineup because Metcalf hasn't exploded in a while. Lockett's actually got some contract incentives as well for having a big game. And Seattle still got that shot at the number 1 seed. I think if Green Bay takes a huge lead, Seattle will start to rest some people. But if they don't, it's not really their style to rest too many people. And Wilson's good. So I think, to get Wilson at no ownership could be interesting. Do you see anything else that I'm missing there, Gouda?
No, not particularly. I think we've covered the stuff that I like, the stuff that we've been targeting. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what to make of the Chargers. Like you were saying, I assume the Chargers are, the starters are playing, the starters are going to be in there. And if going against Kansas City's backups, yeah, I mean, any kind of Charger stack could work out.
I like Mike Williams. Mike Williams saw some volume last week. I think he could be a big play this week. I'm not going overboard with him, but I think Chargers are in play. Chargers are definitely in play. Herbert should be fine.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's one of those things where, does Herbert play the whole game? You don't know what they do with it. My guess would be yes, but at the same token, why the guys look so good this year? Why risk having him in there the whole year too the whole game for a meaningless game?
I think Herbert will have no ownership, though. I mean, because he's got Brady and Tannehill and Cousins all kind of priced around him and Rodgers. And I know he said they won't all be high owned, but I think they'll all take some ownership away from what Herbert would be. I just don't think anyone will be on Herbert. So for a target, Herbert's a good play. And geez, if you really want to, get, play that ownership game in a late slate only, I think Herbert's a good play because the quarterbacks we like best are in the early slate, which is crazy considering there's less to play for, but you've got some big names in the late slate. You've got Rodgers, you've got Breeze, you've got, Rivers and Tannehill and Watson and Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. And then you got Herbert, and Herbert's priced down a little bit, and I got no problem with him. I'm not going out of my way to use him, but I mean, again, when in doubt, make another lineup. You like the Chargers. I'd stack the Chargers before I'd stack like the Rams or the Cardinals or, Carolina's passing game necessarily. I don't love Bridgewater so much. So it's like, yeah, I think there's a good good reason to just throw them out there and use them. I don't think you're making a bad play if you play Herbert.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's a bad play by any stretch. It's just just depends on what they look to do. Because again, with KC having only basically using their backups. I mean, if Kansas City can't score, if they're up 14 or 17 points, what are the Chargers going to pass? They're going to run more. You could have one of those games also where it ends up being a 17-0 game as well.
I think it's more likely you see less Eckler than you see less Herbert in this game. Eckler, he was banged up earlier in the year, and maybe they give Justin Jackson or Josh Kelly some run, or they just ram Ballage into the ground. But Jets, I've said the safe word, Jets. Are we stacking Jets today? Are we going to end the year talking about a Jet stack? No, right? We'll just say Ty Johnson, maybe Jamison Crowder if you feel it, but otherwise no Jets. And Jets has become, what's that?
I'm excited. This is the last live stream where Adam Gase is the head coach.
Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. You want to sign that 2021 is going to be worse than 2020? Watch Adam Gase not get fired tomorrow. He's gone. He's gone. All right. The safe word has been said. Jets talk has begun, which means it's time to end the show, as it always is. Guys, everyone out there, thank you for coming and watching. Those of you who've been in the chat for the whole time we've been doing this, for the 6-7 weeks we've been live streaming, we appreciate you. Thank you. We see you. We'll be maybe doing some live stream for the playoffs. I don't know exactly what the schedule is. I think we're going to do a Super Bowl live stream prior to the Super Bowl, talking about that slate. We'll definitely be doing NHL. We may get some NBA live streams. I'm going to push hard for a Royal Rumble live stream. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up in January. Just make sure that you head over to to YouTube. I don't want to say Facebook. You could go over to YouTube and make sure you click the like, share, subscribe, and notification icon so you have an idea of when we are going to be live streaming, when we're going to post videos, and head on over to banksterdfs.com. $3.99 a week is going to get you access to everything we do. All of our award-winning articles, our player pools, our world-famous best Slack chat in the business. Covers all the sports, pro sports, college sports, niche sports, $3.99 a week. Gouda, it has been quite the run this year. I look forward to doing whatever we do in the playoffs, coming back strong baseball season, and starting up again in late August, doing this again for football next year. So thank you for doing this all year. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a pleasure. So for Michael Gudadero at the Big Gouda over on Twitter, I am Doug Shane at Bankster17. We are at banksterdfs.com. Good luck, everyone. Enjoy week 17. Happy New Year, and we will catch you later.